Hello everyone, today on Scottish Memories we are chatting to Emma Cameron. How are you all? Hope you're all happy, healthy and well out there. Yep, today we are kicking off Series 4 with the brilliant Emma Cameron. But just before we get started with Emma, please remember, if you do enjoy the podcast or anything like that, please remember, subscribe to it wherever you get your podcast. But you know what would really help? Oh, the dogs are saying hello in the background there. How's that? But you know what would really be lovely? If you would maybe leave a review on wherever you get your podcast. That would genuinely mean the world. But I'm really excited to get started with Series 4 with Emma Cameron. You will recognise Emma as a reporter and presenter for STV. Emma, hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. It feels weird being at the other end of the microphone for a change. It's quite nice.
You're not the first person that said that.
That is quite nice. I can just sit back and let you do the hard work.
Yeah, I'm just going to try to drag things out of you.
Yeah, that's it.
Before we get started, how are you? Hope you're healthy and well.
Good, thanks. Yeah, I'm pretty tired. We've been chatting sleep regressions before we started recording, haven't we? We've both got little girls who are keeping us up all night. So a little bit bleary eyes, but nothing that a rolling sausage and some strong caffeine won't fix.
I know. I think I could probably go back to when I started these interviews because my wife was still pregnant at the time. And these bags didn't exist then.
Oh, same. See, it's amazing what makeup can do, I'm telling you.
This is me fully made up. This is it. This is the best it gets. And thank you. You are kicking off Series 4 of Scottish Memories, so thank you so much for being my first
I feel very
guest.
honoured to be kicking it off. That's great.
Honestly, I said it just before we properly started as well, that you've no idea how grateful I am for you to spare the time and come on, because I know you're incredibly busy. So, plus having an 18-month-old, so thank you.
Oh, I know. That's the busy part. Come to work for the rest.
Yeah, that is true.
Don't tell my bosses that.
So we'll dive right in. Whereabouts did you grow up?
Well, pretty boringly, I still live in the place that I grew up. My mum always says that we now live 3 songs apart on the radio, so that's how we kind of gauge it.
That's how long it takes you from get to one to the other.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think she would want to be any further away. And my brother kind of was in Australia for 6 years. He's now in London, and he's always like, "You're so boring living so close to mum and dad." But then, of recent times, he's been sending me flats in Glasgow, being like, "Oh, this one looks quite nice." I'm like, "See, it all wears off eventually. When you start thinking that you want a family, you'll end up back home, guaranteed."
Yeah,
and to be honest, I'm so lucky to have my family so close by. I'm in the south side of Glasgow, in Giffnock. My mum and dad are just in Cathcart, so still south of Glasgow. We have kind of moved. I was away for uni, and I've done a wee bit of travelling, but yeah, very much kind of have my roots very close to where I grew up because I had a great childhood, and I think, well, if I can give Ivy and any other kids that I may have the sort of childhood I had, I'd be very, very happy with that. So.
I agree. That sorry, the dogs are barking in the background. I apologize.
That's all right.
I moved to London for 6 years when I was in my early 20s and things, going to college and stuff like that, and then was just kind of drawn to come back. I'm not quite 3 songs away from the house, but I'm maybe about 6 songs.
See, it's funny because my husband's Irish and he's from like a small town in the rural west of Ireland, and it's very much like nobody that he went to school with still lives there. It's kind of a sleepy little town. Sadly, there just isn't as much work for people there anymore, so most of his contemporaries have moved quite far afield, a lot of them in Australia, Canada, America, or kind of London, Dublin. So he finds it really odd that me and most of my school friends are all round to the corner from each other. We're still going in for each other, knocking the doors, like, do they want to come out and play? He probably thinks that's really weird because his friends are sort of all over the world, but I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest. And the ones that are in London, you're like, God, they've moved away. It seems very kind of far flung. But
that's sort of thing though of knocking on someone's door and saying, "Do you want to come out and play?"
Oh, do you remember that?
God, that was my youth. I was really lucky. I lived in a little cul-de-sac, and it was all kids roughly about the same age.
Yeah,
and
same.
Always knocking on someone's door.
Going in for somebody, used to say, going in for someone. And then my dad's a doctor, so it was very much, we had our dinner later than everybody else because he was always home later and I was always raging because everyone had been out since 4 o'clock and I was still having my dinner at 6:30, sort of looking at the clock like, when can I go out?
I've got like an hour left before the street lights come on.
Exactly. I just feel that I don't really see kids doing that the same. I guess like it was very much just part of our childhood. We were talking about Kirby off camera, and it's one of those like going out and playing games like that, playing football on the street, popping into somebody's house for your dinner, even though you'd already had your dinner. You
Yeah.
started realizing who made all the best soup and who made the macaroni
You used to
cheese.
know where everyone was because all their bikes would be on the ground
Yeah.
outside
It
that
was really
person's
safe
house.
though, and it was really kind of safe. The ice cream van used to come round, and I don't know, I wouldn't have had it any other way. And I feel that last night I was quite alarmed that we actually had some geysers. It was Halloween last night, and on my street there was actually quite a few kids came to the door, and I thought, oh, do people still do this? This is lovely because
Yeah.
they were with their mums and dads. Whereas we were just sort of sent out on our own from the age of about 6. It's maybe a bit more safe the way they're doing it now, but I thought, oh, that's good that kids still want to go out and play and go to each other's houses, and they're not just stuck inside on their own playing, talking to people through a laptop screen.
I know. No, you're absolutely right. I should say as well for anyone listening abroad, guysing is trick or treating.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, no,
We
no.
actually
It's
we
still.
actually
I
got
still
told.
call it. I still call it guysing.
I call it guysing too, but then last night on the news we wrote trick or treating, and my producer said, "No, let's change that to guysing because Scottish people don't like the word trick or treating. It's very Americanized." But
It
my
really,
husband
really
didn't have a
is.
clue what guysing was. We were talking about this last night. He's like, "What is that?" Because
So what did they
Irish
call it?
people
What did they
then
call it in Ireland then?
trick or treating, and they use quite a lot of American terms actually. Like he
Right.
started talking about candy apples. I was like, "Oh, come on, it's toffee apples.
Toffee
What are
apples.
you on about?" And then I said, "Did you ever go dicking for apples?" And that was a whole other ballgame. He had no idea what I was talking about.
See, this is a minefield with what did you because like when I was a kid. Firstly, I was never organised with a Halloween costume, so
Oh,
something would be made with a black bin bag.
always.
You'd
Definitely
go out, you'd go to each other's parents' house and maybe a couple of other ones that you kind of knew, but you'd go out and you
knew.
wondered about.
Yeah.
You didn't just get to knock on the door and they gave
No.
you. You had to do something.
Oh yeah, I made them do something last night. I was like, "You're not getting your sweets for nothing here.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need a joke. I need a song."
exactly. You had to do a joke, you had to do a song or a wee
Yeah,
dance or something. And that's
yeah.
the thing as well. We used to go into the houses.
Yes. Whereas that's not really a thing now.
No, it's stand at the door and just give me
And we
sweets.
used to play wee games because we were talking about this last night, duking for apples. Or did you ever put like treacle on donuts and try and bite them off a
Try and get them
string?
hanging from a string.
Yeah, we used to do that, but I
Yeah.
don't think you do any of that now.
No, it's boring now.
It has all become quite Americanized. I feel like there's a lot goes on in terms of that you can pay £20 to go and pick a pumpkin that a farmer's probably bought from Tesco and laid it out in his
I've got to
field.
say, we did it. There's
We're
there's
the
a place.
suckers that did it too.
Yeah, yeah. There's a place out in East Lothian that we drove along to called Kilduff Farm, and it was beautiful, and it
Uh-huh.
was a lot of fun. And obviously the pumpkins were great, and Lillian ran
Yeah.
about in the hay and had a great time. And then I'm standing there going, I can remember my mum carving into a turnip.
Turnip, and they stank. Do you remember the
Yeah,
smell? Oh,
and it
yeah,
was
we were the same. I mean, all these things are great, but I do feel that events like that are just getting bigger and bigger, aren't they? And they're becoming even more commercial. Whereas
and
before it
it's a
was, yeah,
real
you just
shame
went
it's
round the
getting.
houses.
Yeah, it's a real shame it's getting. I know this to sort of America and things, but we are
No,
losing
no.
two Americanized versions of it.
Hmm.
We're losing these traditions because it was, a turnip, you'd go around, you'd do some things, and now it does feel trick or treat and pumpkins and everything. It's feeling more American.
It definitely is. Yeah. The one event that I can't quite get on board with is Guy Fawkes. I've never been a fan of fireworks, and that's coming up, this weekend. I just think, oh, I don't know if I fancy that.
Well, I've got two dogs. They definitely don't like it.
Oh, but that's another one that seems to have just got bigger and bigger. These massive fireworks displays. Like, before you had a wee sparkler in your garden, didn't you? Maybe somebody would set
Well,
off a Catherine wheel, and it was
I can
oh,
remember because I grew up in a little sort of. It was a kind of cul-de-sac area, and there was a field nearby that the farmer had just. He just grassed it. He just put grass on it, and it just became a play field for everyone. It wasn't in a park or anything. It was just a field that were in.
mhm.
And after Halloween, genuinely after Halloween, me and all my friends every day after school would start to go round all the houses in the area and ask if they had anything for the bonfire.
Oh my God.
So we'd all start so essentially the bonfire for the 5th of November would be made by kids. We'd,
Really?
yeah, we'd drag old couches that people given us, boxes, literally anything anyone was wanting got rid of. Because this was you'd set everything on fire when I was a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah, yeah.
We didn't care. Everything would get dragged in there. We'd make a bonfire, and then on the 5th of November, the first person down there got to light the bonfire, and then everyone from the area just showed up with fireworks.
Safety first.
Yeah, yeah. Like there was
See,
a little.
bonfire night when I was at school was always like the event of the year when you wanted to go and impress a boy because you'd go hold hands underneath a fireworks display at the local rugby club, and that was kind of what happened. So yeah, brings back all sorts of memories for
I know.
me.
So for me, the idea of an organized fireworks display is very different from what I grew up
Yes,
with.
isn't it? I know, and these ones are just massive now. And again, paying all this money to go, and yeah, it's just very different, different
Yeah,
world. But that's
yeah.
just how it is, isn't it?
Because there's one along the road from us on Friday. That's because obviously Lillian's two. It'll be her first proper because she never went to one the last 2 years. Well,
Yeah,
2 years ago there wasn't one,
no.
and last year things were kind of just starting. So I won't get back in time. But I always kind of take a long. But I think they're doing it kid friendly. I think they're silent fireworks.
How does that work?
No idea.
Okay, okay,
Or at least quieter. They're not
okay.
like massive, big, huge bangs because we've
I
got
feel like
quite.
sparklers are my limit, to be honest. I do like a sparkler, but then
Yeah,
apart from that, I'm sort of done.
I
No,
like a
not
sparkler.
not really for me.
No, but although I do remember on her birthday, just a month or so ago, she virtually tried to eat the candle that was on top of it,
Nice.
whilst it was still lit. Yeah.
Oh, well, you know.
So, as you were growing up, then what about seeing Scotland as a kid? Was it staycations? Was it?
It was a bit of both. We did have a caravan that we used to tow to St Andrews and Anstruther, Crail, all that kind of East Neuk. That's where we used to holiday a lot of the time. So that area brings back lots of lovely memories for us as a family. And then until my dad traded in the caravan to buy a video camera, so that tells you how much it was worth.
Wow.
Um, we were all devastated at the time, but then we got a lot of good home movies after that. So that's when you knew you were on a good family day out when Dad brought the camera out and he did a sort of rolling commentary of whatever we were. And I think I'm definitely in the right job because there's so many home movies of me sort of outside a castle in the north of Scotland saying, here we are at Urquhart Castle and this was founded in 1430. So I
And
was
a
sort of getting
career
my
was born right there.
yeah, exactly. I think I was getting my practice in from the age of about 5, and my brother's just sort of sitting there slumping in the background on his Game Boy, you know.
I don't want to hold the camera.
Yeah, yeah. But so all around St Andrews, kind of that part of Fife is where we holidayed. A lot of our summers were spent there. The Anstruther Fish Bar, we used to go for a cream tea. We used to get the fish and chips and then loads of cakes after it. Did you ever go for one of them?
No.
Like 4 o'clock, and you left absolutely stuffed to the gunnels, but it was amazing. It was great, and I don't know how much you've explored that sort of area around Crail and
A little
Anstruther.
bit, not so much.
It's so lovely. I actually went back to Ely with two of my friends a couple of weeks ago for my first sort of weekend away from my wee kiddo, and we did this sort of coastal path along the East Neuk, and it was really lovely. It's just such a gorgeous part of the world, and you do get good weather there every now and then. And there's lots of nice sort of places to stop by and have some tasty seafood, and yeah, it's really really nice.
Well, we do get good weather, though. I mean, today
No, we do.
it's the 1st of November that we're recording this. It's what is that still autumn? It is autumn.
Yeah,
Beautiful blue skies.
I know. We're actually doing all right, I think.
Like
Kind of.
I think we kind of get as it gets colder, our skies get bluer,
Yes.
and then in the
Well,
summer
I
where we
always
want
say
the blue
this.
skies.
So my birthday's the 14th of January, which is a pretty rotten time for a birthday. But I was at a wedding once on my birthday, and it's the nicest weather that we've ever had for a wedding. Like my best friend got married in July, it poured all day long, but the one on my birthday, glorious.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just think it's so unpredictable. You may as well prepare for rain, and anything better than that is, a winner.
You're absolutely right. As long as you can
Yeah.
accept that it's going to change,
Yeah.
then you're fine. You're off and running.
And do you know what annoys me being from Glasgow? Everyone's just like, oh, Glasgow's so wet. My brother's doing this now that he lives in London. He's like, oh, I can't believe the weather in Glasgow. I'm like, Jamie, you lived here for 23 years of your life. Have you forgotten that quickly? Or people that live in Edinburgh or live in Aberdeen, think, oh yeah, the weather in Glasgow's so much worse. I'm like, is it really? I mean, it's definitely wetter. But I think the east is definitely colder. I work in Edinburgh a lot of the time, and I feel that when I'm there, it's much colder.
It can get cold here. I always think here. I've said this to a few of my friends and things. When we get the snow here, sort of Edinburgh eastish, if we get the snow bad, everywhere else has got it really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because just the Firth or Forth on one side, then the Pentlands. I don't know if that does
It's the
anything.
wind. I find the wind quite chilling in Edinburgh. And then my husband lived in Aberdeen for 4 years, so we did the long distance, and
Wow.
it gets absolutely freezing,
Yeah.
like really freezing in
Yeah.
Aberdeen. And then because of the granite, it was quite grey a lot of the time. I mean, I actually did love it as a city going to visit, but it is quite grey.
It's a little bit grey. It's a little bit grey. Whenever I hear Aberdeen, my head always goes back to the old Billy Connolly sketch where he used to get taken up there on school trips and pushed into the ocean. It's like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the North Sea, but go and play in it. On you go.
Yes, enjoy. Yeah. But there's some beautiful parts around there. Like we used to go to Stonehaven quite a lot to a lovely kind of fish restaurant around there. And yeah, there's nice parts. It was good to kind of explore a different part of the country that I hadn't really been to
I'm
before.
definitely starting to pick up on a love for fish here.
Yeah, a wee bit. Just a little
Nothing wrong with
bit.
that. There's nothing wrong with that. So since obviously your work must take you round Scotland quite
Yeah,
a fair bit
yeah,
as
it does.
well.
Yeah, so I kind of split my time work-wise between Glasgow and Edinburgh. So I'm constantly kind of hurtling down that M8. I feel like I could drive that road with my eyes shut now. And luckily, the way my hours sort of work, I tend to avoid rush hour because it's brutal when you're stuck in the traffic on that M8. And our Edinburgh offices are at Fountain Bridge. And I went to uni in Edinburgh for 5 years. So every time you kind of start to come in through Gorgie and you smell that brewery, I'm like, right, I know where I am now.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it just brings back so many lovely memories. I lived in Haymarket all through my time at uni, and I just have such amazing memories of that time. And I always think, oh, I wish I still lived in my flat in Haymarket. I'm like, do I really? It was absolutely mice infested. There was 5 of us that lived there. We weren't that keen on doing the dishes, and yeah, so
Yeah.
a bit grotty. But I think whenever you associate somewhere with a good time in your life, you get kind of nostalgic
Oh yeah,
memories
yeah,
for it,
yeah.
don't you?
There's a real nostalgia. I always say my first year at college in London, I lived in an area called Palmer's Green in London,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a flat. 5 of us had a flat above a wedding, a bride shop,
Oh,
and it was. I
it
mean,
wouldn't be noisy though.
yeah, we couldn't make any noise. We got in trouble if we made any
Yeah.
noise because obviously people were having a special moment
Yes,
to
it's
pick a
very
wedding.
important.
So we got in trouble a couple of times. But we all lived there for the first year. But I've got such great memories of the place, and we had so much fun. But it was a hole.
I
It was
know, same.
not
Ours was
nice.
awful. My dad used to refuse to come to see us in the flat. He was like, it's just a sea of knickers. I'm not coming in because there's 5 kiddos. So there was just constantly washing everywhere. I think he was like, oh, no thanks. But we loved it. We were at Heriot Watt, so we used to get on that number 25 bus from outside the flat in Haymarket, along
Yeah,
Gorgie through Dalry, and it was just so much fun. And it was quite nice actually being at a campus university, and you met so many people from all over whenever you were there. And then Edinburgh is a real uni town, isn't it? There's so much to
yeah.
do, so much going on. But yeah, I still have real pangs to live there. I think I'm one of these few people that's from Glasgow that loves both cities probably equally.
I've said this the same. I'm exactly the same as an Edinburgh person. I love Glasgow.
Do you?
I
Well,
know,
that's
yeah,
quite controversial.
I know we've got, I know, I have to hide my face in public. I know we've got, I've said this a few times, I know there's a friendly rivalry there.
Oh yeah.
but it really only exists when you're in Scotland.
I think so.
When we leave, then
Oh,
we
we're all
can.
just one, aren't
Yeah,
we?
we're just Scottish after that. But when we're in Scotland, there's definitely a wee bit of a thing there. I mean, again, I've mentioned this to a few people. For two cities only like 50 miles apart, they're very different.
They're so different. They're very, very different. I'd
They're,
say Glasgow, you have more fun. There's maybe a bit more fun. Edinburgh's got it's just beautiful, isn't it? And
I think Glaswegians have a better humour and a
yeah,
better
I think
character and I think I'm a very funny person. But I but I think the Glaswegians they do. There's a bit more banter there.
I
And I
think
think I can't remember where I read this, but I think obviously since Glasgow kind of grew up around the Clyde, there's a
uh-huh.
real working man's humour. There's a real,
Oh yeah.
grafting humour there, which is
What is
never
it they
met.
say though that you'd have more fun at a Glasgow funeral than a wedding in Edinburgh? That's what Glasgow people say anyway.
I don't know if I kind of want to test that theory out.
I mean, you do. A Glasgow wedding's great crack. But
I,
so my dad's from the Borders, and so he's from Hawick. So he's very much kind of East Coast, like Edinburgh. He's got a bit of a kind of inkling for Edinburgh because that's where they would go for big days out and
but
go to the
Daisy, yeah,
rugby.
go up to,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's funny. Whereas my mum's from Lanarkshire, so she's the only one out of her brothers that has moved into the city, and everyone's like, oh, she's moving into the city. So it's funny seeing their kind of relationship with it all. But obviously, my dad's now been in Glasgow longer than he was ever in the Borders. But the Borders is where my grandma still lives, who's 91, and we still go down frequently to visit her. So I've got a real kind of soft spot for that part of the world, which I feel is kind of undervalued sometimes. I feel that a
It
lot of
really
people
is.
don't know about a lot of the lovely little quaint towns and villages that they have there. And I guess because recently they've developed the train down to Tweed Bank, but for a long time it wasn't as accessible, I guess, to get to. So people maybe didn't holiday there the same as they would to other parts of the country. But it's really lovely.
Yeah,
They're
I think you're right. I think we talk about the Highlands a lot because obviously the Highlands are beautiful.
well, yeah. I
And
mean,
then we
you
talk
can't
about
really
the Central
compare.
Belt because it's the Central Belt and
Oh,
it's got two of the main cities in the country and it's got
yeah.
and I think East Lothian and the Borders, which are stunning,
Uh-huh.
do get forgot about quite a
Oh, they
lot.
do. They do. I mean, parts of it not so great. Like
But then you could say that about everywhere.
you could say that about everywhere. I mean, my grandma lives in Hawick, and it's actually really sad because when we used to go there as kids, it was kind of the home of Kashmir. There was all the factories there and so much employment, and it was a real bustling kind of high street.
Yeah.
And in recent times, it's fallen by the wayside a wee bit. All that's kind of gone from the town, and there's a lot of boarded up shops, and again, not as many kind of young families living there. But whenever you've kind of grown up somewhere, we actually took my wee kiddo there last month. The play park's exactly the same that we went to as kids, and it's still brilliant.
Yeah.
Maybe I just think it's brilliant because we had so much fun there. And the same way, like the leisure centre, I definitely don't think it's been revamped in 30 years. But what more do you need? It's a cracking pool. It's got the slides, it's got the flumes, it's great fun. And you think, that's all kids really want. My wee kiddo can have as much fun in a play park that's not been updated in 30 years and it's some soft play that's cost you 20 quid in the centre of Glasgow. So,
I mean, I know that with Lily, and as long as there's a swing,
oh
it's
yeah,
fine.
same,
She'll run a
same.
bit every now and again. Every now and again, she'll just want to go back to the swing, and she's happy. Here's, I'm gonna jump back to our comparison memories of youth again, because we've both got young children.
Mhm.
Parks. Now, when I was a
Yes,
kid, it was concrete. It was
same.
concrete and a roundabout and a chute and
Around
a
there was always
swing.
a roundabout.
Yeah, which I never
Yeah,
quite. I don't unless you've got like 10 or 12 year old kids trying to get it to go as
they
fast as
just make me
possible.
sick. I
Yeah.
don't know how that's remotely enjoyable.
No, I think we did it to try to make it go as fast as possible to see who'd be the first one to fall off.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but when we used to hang about parks as teenagers, you used to often go on these when you'd had a few drinks, and it was the aim of the game was to see who could be sick first. I'm like, God, why were we so mean to each other? Put you off drinking for life and roundabout.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
very queasy at the best of times. I hate fun fairs and rides and things. So, oh, it's not for me.
But it
Because I
was
don't know if
it
you
was
ever went to like the shows when you were younger. I hated the shows. It's just totally wasted on me. Like I was always the one holding the jackets at the side where my friends were all on the waltzers going as fast as they possibly could. I'm like, no
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah. I should say as well for people, the shows is like a traveling fairground.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
like,
is.
but again, that's something else that's gone. I mean, all right, okay, maybe for the
Yeah,
best, maybe for the best that it's
I
gone.
know,
But
maybe,
these sort
but
of track, like
they
I
were good
remember,
fun.
they,
It was something
yeah,
to do.
I
I
can
mean, I love
remember
the
when we
candy
go.
floss and the try to get the big teddies out you'd put a 2p in and try and win a teddy. That kind of thing was always good fun.
I mean, I can't
And they always
imagine these
went to
big.
kind of areas that they maybe wouldn't have had access to other things. Like, my mum's from Lanarkshire. I said she's from a town called Wishaw. And, those kind of places don't have the facilities that the likes of Glasgow or Edinburgh would. So when the shows came, it was a really big deal,
Yeah, yeah,
and
and we don't.
everybody went.
We used to have obviously down at Portobello. They used to have, they had a permanent sort of shows. They had the shows, the permanent the playground, which are gone now.
Uh-huh.
So like we don't have anything this
Nah,
side
we
really like
don't.
that at all. And yeah, okay, in Scotland we don't really have the weather for outdoor fun
No,
parks a
but it
lot of
didn't
the
really
time.
matter,
But
did it?
no, no, not in the slightest. It's a real. That's a loss. It is a loss. But yeah, I can remember the shows coming to sort of areas nearby, and I'm sure the
Yeah, they
rides.
always
I'm
went to
sure the
quite
rides were
deprived
unsafe.
areas, which was quite nice actually. And you used to travel to go to the good ones. You'd hear where the kind of good shows were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember me and my friends going on a day trip to Glenrothes because they had the best shows. God, that's really clutching at straws, isn't
I know,
it?
but it's a shame. In some ways, I mean, it's probably a good thing that we don't see them as much. But in other ways, it's memories
Yeah.
these memories won't get made again.
No, they won't. And even, I don't know if you ever went to some of the theme parks that used to exist here. When I say theme parks quite loosely, but Loudon Castle was one that we always went to on
Right.
school trips in Ayrshire. It doesn't exist anymore. All these kind of places have kind of fallen by the wayside, which I think is quite sad,
Yeah,
and
it totally
they've
is.
been replaced by bigger and better. But is it necessarily bigger and better? I don't know.
Yeah. It's all corporate now. It's all
Yeah,
corporate.
well, that's it. That is it. And really, kids are quite easily pleased, is what I'm noticing. At my wee
Yeah.
kiddo, I'm sort of driving her about, taking her to things, and really, she just wants to play with sticks in the woods and is more than happy.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been doing that a lot with our wee girl. We've been going to just um we went up to Lorison Castle quite a lot just
Oh, yeah, it's lovely
and
there.
beautiful bit and she's just running about picking up a stick crunching leaves under her feet
Yeah,
and she's quite happy.
I know. I
Yeah.
know. I know. The beach is something that we've still to master. She just wants to eat the sand. That's the hard
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Once we get
Everything.
out of the putting everything in the mouth stage, maybe we'll tackle the beach again.
Yeah, we're still kind of at that stage.
But you're lucky you're quite close to some lovely beaches. I mean, we are, and we're reasonably close to Ayrshire, but they just get so rammed in the summer and they get really, really busy.
You wouldn't
Um,
expect Scotland to have beautiful beaches, but we do.
oh, we absolutely do.
Yeah.
We went to Skye. Do you remember that sort of opening in lockdown where you were allowed to go places again? We went to Skye because we were going to go abroad, and then we thought, oh, a bit risky. And I thought, oh, I don't really want to stay in Scotland. When you've been stuck in for that long, you think you want to just go all the places that you've been dreaming about. But actually, Plockton and then over to Skye, and it's probably one of the best holidays we've ever had. And we
Mhm.
absolutely loved it. And the beaches there are just out of this world stunning. I don't know if you've been up to that part, but they're just unbelievable. They're really, really lovely, and quite deserted a lot of the time. There's because they're so vast, I suppose.
Yeah.
And yeah, you do get a lot of tourists, but there's so many of them. Like the beaches, I mean, that there's room for everybody, and they haven't been built up in the sense, yeah, a lot of the ones here have, or the ones abroad. They're not covered in sun loungers, obviously, because people can't sunbathe, and
No.
so they feel very untouched, which is lovely. But
Yeah, there is a thing about I suppose Scottish beaches. I suppose you're right. That's a good way to put it. That we don't have the hotels right by. We don't have
no,
lots of hotels right by the beach, all with swimming pools and all
no,
these
not at
sort of things.
all. I
They're
know.
little towns, they're little beach towns, little beach villages.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
yeah,
It's maybe a bit of a blessing that we've got rubbish weather, because I think if we had nice weather, it would become a bit like that, a bit,
yeah.
Spain, Costa del Sol, like, and then people would all come here on their holidays, and we'd think, yeah, and these are our beaches, and then they'd probably get ruined,
I know
because
we want people to visit, but it's our stuff. Don't touch it.
yeah, exactly. But it did make me think when I was up that part of the world, for someone that's from Scotland, there's so much of the country that I haven't seen that's actually quite embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I hate to say it, but last year for our wedding anniversary, I went to Loch Ness for the first time. And
Oh
it was
yeah,
like, I'm in my 40s, and it was the
I
first time
know.
I went, I'm like, that's awful.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think especially when you're from the Central Belt, you tend to kind of, I don't know, hang about your own area a bit, and then you'd maybe holiday abroad. But I think if you're from a more rural part, you obviously are more used to traveling around. So you likely have seen more than we have. But I do find it mortifying sometimes.
Yeah.
Whenever you're watching these kind of TV programs when they go around Scotland, and you think, God, I've not been to any of these places. Where is
Yeah.
that? You're sort of Googling
I know when Weir's Way comes on TV from years ago, you're like, look at
I
all that.
know.
Is that here? Oh, I should go see that.
But it is amazing. It's Sean that I work with that does the weather. He's been doing a programme around Scotland of late, and some of the places they went to Tyree was one of the episodes. And honestly,
Yeah.
it looked like the Bahamas. Genuinely, it did. Like the beaches and the palm
Some of the
trees.
places he's been going to have just
It's
been beautiful.
unbelievable. Yeah, they're like stunningly beautiful. And you think, God, you really don't have to go anywhere else, do you? But
No,
yeah,
no,
but we do.
but we do. We do. And
But
so
we do.
if anyone's going to come, because obviously I'm very lucky, as I mentioned before, that people watch the channel or listen to the podcast from
Yeah.
everywhere, what would be your best
Oh.
hints and tips?
Oh, hints and tips. Well, I'm sure you've probably gathered that I'm a right foodie. So I've always kind of have this idea that I want to pitch a program to work about doing a sort of foodies tour of Scotland because the gastronomy around here is just unbelievable. And
And we
you
don't
go
have
to
a
the
good
States,
reputation, and it's really not
it's
founded at
not
all. It's
fair.
not
It's not
fair.
fair. We're more than just haggis, I promise.
And we don't have to deep fry everything.
No, I mean some stuff does taste really good deep fried,
Yeah.
but as you've kind of picked up on, and I love seafood, and I genuinely believe that you can't get better than you can in the west coast of Scotland, around Loch Fyne, the oyster bar, and all around that kind of part of the world is just open. They've got the amazing seafood shack. It's well worth a visit. It's literally a shack at the side of the road, but it's some of the best seafood that I've ever had. And the same, the oyster shed on Skye was one of the best meals I've ever had. The only issue was we went in August, so you were trying to sort of eat these beautiful scallops while swallowing a whole load of midges. Kind of
Midges.
took away from it a little bit. But maybe if you
Yeah.
timed it right, you could go sit in your car and eat it or something.
I know.
Because
Midges
yeah,
is just. I don't
I
even know how we
know.
can explain midges because they're a
Oh, they're
thing
just
themselves.
annoying. They're just really annoying, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid, like I said, there was kind of fields, kind of where I grew up, and we would go and jump in. When the hay was being cut, we would make hay bales and we'd jump into them, and then we'd come home, and I would just be covered in.
Covered, I know, covered. I mean, to be honest, we were in Portugal last month and we got eaten alive by mosquitoes. And I thought, at least midges don't kind of leave these horrible bites that you're itching for weeks on end.
You know,
They come and they go. They're just more irritating than
yeah.
anything
Get
else.
the
And they
calamine
do.
lotion on them, and you're
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. That's a savior for everything, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I'm liking the idea of the
Yeah,
Scottish
so
food
I
tour
just
thing,
think
though.
there's so many, and I love that all across Scotland has its own little like food that is they claim as theirs. If you go to Arbroath, you could get the smokies, which are absolutely delicious if you've ever been. And then my friends from Aberdeen, and I had stovies for the first time and butteries up there whenever I was up to visit her, and it's something that as a Glaswegian we'd never really had. I mean. We even go to Edinburgh, you don't get square sausage because it's a Glasgow thing, and it's very kind of
Is it?
every yeah. You get
I
links.
get square sausage here. I didn't know it was a Glasgow thing.
It's
Or
a
at least I didn't know it was
Glasgow
predominantly
thing.
a Glasgow thing.
It's definitely a Glasgow thing.
Is it?
Yeah, and the whole brown sauce thing still freaks me out. I'm not into that.
You mean chippy sauce?
Yeah, the salt and sauce thing, I just can't get on board with it. I've really tried. I lived in Edinburgh for a long time and I still. Whereas
This
my
is
friend that lives in London gets her mum to bring it down and vats for her whenever she goes to visit.
Yeah,
She's rife.
I had Ashley Gray on a little while ago who played Elphaba in the West End, and she said that whenever she came up, she would buy two or three bottles. And remember,
Really?
here as well, obviously the chip shops make chippy sauce, so they'll put
Yeah.
it in glass bottles.
Diluted with
Glass,
vinegar, though, isn't it?
yeah, it's just brown sauce and vinegar,
Yeah,
50-50 really,
really.
that's what it is. But she would buy loads of bottles and take them down, and then all her flatmates, when she was at drama school, just be like, "What is that?" She's like, "It's gorgeous."
Not for
But I
me.
think, as we were talking about the fun banter between Glasgow and Edinburgh, that's probably the biggest part of it.
Oh, it's huge, isn't
Chippy
it?
sauce.
It's a real controversial subject.
That's probably you could probably do a whole episode of your food program just on that, the
You
battle of chippy
absolutely
sauce.
could, couldn't you?
What needs to go in
Yeah,
the
I
food?
just love how different parts of the country have their own cuisine, if you like. And I think that's really lovely, like Stornoway for the black pudding, and there's so many different parts that you could go to and eat completely differently. And I think you're right when people say, "Oh, Scottish food, what's that?" But actually, we've got loads.
Yeah,
Absolutely loads, but then
yeah,
nothing can beat your mum or your granny's homemade lentil soup, which I do think would be my death row meal. And I've tried my hardest to recreate it for my wee girl, and I just haven't managed.
yeah,
There's something
yeah.
about, well, it was my granny and now my mum, the lentil soup. You
Yeah,
can't beat
we're the
it.
same. My mom unfortunately passed away last year, but she used to make beautiful soup during the winter, potato soup during the winter,
Oh,
which
potato
had
soup,
everything
yeah.
in it. And I've no idea how she made it. I've got no
No.
clue. And I'm like, my
And then
wee
I asked
girl,
my mum for the recipe and she just laughed in my face. I was like, what do you mean by recipe?
I see what vegetables I've got, I put them in, and then
Exactly. But it always manages to taste the same
yeah, yeah,
in a
and it
good
was so
way.
good. Yeah, it was so good. And my mum's chips, my mum homemade chips as
Oh,
well.
homemade
I'm going to miss my
chips.
mum's
That
homemade
reminds me of my
chips.
granny. Yeah, that really reminds me of my granny. Homemade chips in the fryer. Oh, you can't beat it, can you?
No, yeah, I mean, I don't even know if anyone does that anymore. Cutting up their own potatoes and their own tatties and letting
Probably
them steep in
not.
water for ages and then
Yeah,
frying
yeah,
them up.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't even know if ever.
yeah.
Right, I
No.
like to finish on what I call difficult questions for us Scots,
Oh,
and
this
you'll
is a
like it. It's food based.
okay. Well, good. I'm involved. I'm
Yeah.
into this.
So shortbread or tablet?
Oh, tablet is more sugary.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's normally it's a difficult one for people that because tablet's
Nah.
quite it is pure sugar.
Yeah, it's just pure sugar, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of my favourite places that we used to go to for food in Shawlands, which is in the south side of Glasgow, they used to always give you a tablet with your coffee, and I just think that's a good touch. To the point where the guy started knowing us so well, he would just come over with a wee bowl with extra tablet for us.
Nice.
Because you're like, you don't quite want a dessert, but you want something sweet. Tablet, it covers all bases.
Yeah,
It just gives
yeah,
you
yeah.
that wee sugar hit, and it's enough to keep you going.
I'm gonna ask as well. Did your granny made shortbread and tablet?
Shortbread, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, tried to recreate it, failed miserably.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We tried to make tablet one time and it just ended up more like a gooey soup.
yeah. Do you know what else I discovered for the first time in the summer? Because we were working through in Edinburgh on the Royal Mile, the fudge shop. Have you ever been there?
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
How good is that place?
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
handing out free samples. Dangerous, because then I just went in and spent about 30 quid on fudge.
It's very
But there's
clever of them, isn't it? Yeah.
there's so many different flavors and varieties. I thought this is like a tablet, but an upgrade. It
Yeah.
was
Oh,
absolutely
were they make?
brilliant.
Could you see them making it when you went in? Were they doing it
Yeah.
there? Isn't it great?
Have you had the iron brew fudge?
No, they got iron
It
brew
was,
fudge.
yeah, and it was absolutely banging. I would thoroughly recommend it.
I know where I'm going
So
next time.
anyone who's visiting Edinburgh, get yourselves down to the Royal Mile to the fudge shop. You will not
But
be disappointed.
but it's been there since I was a kid. I can remember it.
I've never heard of it
Yeah,
before.
yeah, and like the fact that you can just go in and they're just making it in front, like
It's
scooping
amazing.
it about the place and things. It's great.
Because I didn't
It's
think I was really
entertaining.
into fudge, but apparently I am. But well, probably only that kind of fudge. The kind of dodgy ones that you get in the pick and mix at the cinema. I'm not into that kind of fudge.
Oh no, it has to be proper fudge. Proper fudge.
Yeah, proper fudge.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
that's a hint and tip for you if you're ever in Edinburgh. Get
Yeah.
yourself there.
Whiskey or iron brew?
Iron brew, without a doubt.
I kind of guessed that
I'm
was going to come from when you mentioned the iron brew
yeah,
fudge.
not into whiskey. I mean, I'm not massively into iron brew, but it is the best hangover cure in the world ever. Is an iron brew, but it has to be out of a well, ideally a glass bottle. If you can't get your hands on a glass bottle, I can. Never a plastic bottle. Doesn't taste the same. Diet iron brew is rotten. Don't ever try that. It has to be the full sugar, doesn't
It
it?
really does. It really right. Okay,
Yeah.
this is going back a little bit, but when they changed it, could you taste the difference?
I don't know. I think I thought I could, but I don't know if I really could.
Because they've got the 1899
Yeah,
bottle as well, which
apparently
is
you
kind of
can
the
buy
original
the
recipe.
original recipe. Like some corner shops do it, and they try and
Yeah.
charge you like a tenner for a can of original iron brew.
I can remember, like when they were changing it, I can remember loads of corner shops had bought
Yeah,
loads,
yeah.
so they could say, "There's the original. We're charging a bit extra now."
But it was really controversial, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I hate to think how much sugar was in that original one, though.
But I love the fact that we were raging by the fact that they'd made it healthier. We're taking
I
out this
know. How dare
5 bags
you?
of sugar.
Yeah, how dare you? Oh, it's so good though. I see my husband's Irish, as I've said, but he hates iron bread. I think he's just saying that deliberately to annoy me because I don't understand how you could possibly hate it.
Yeah,
I think it's delicious.
I'm a big fan.
Um,
I love an iron brew. I'm a
I know,
massive
so
fan
do
of them.
I. The other thing you can get in St Andrews, where when we used to go as kids, have you ever been to an ice cream shop called Janetta's in St
No.
Andrews? World class. They do an iron brew sorbet, which is to die for. So another hint. You could just do a tour of Scotland, going to all the places
I
that
tell
have
you,
used
see if you
iron
do do
brew
your
as
if you
part
do
of
do
their.
your food program, I want to
I'm
come on
going
as
to
a
all
guest
these
and just
places.
get you to take me round everywhere.
Okay, sold, done.
But when it comes to ice cream, though, being in Edinburgh, it's got to be Lucas ice cream for me.
Yeah, see, no, not
Yeah.
for me. Being from Glasgow, and there's obviously the big Italian connection here. We've got so many amazing cafes. Gino's around the corner from me. You know, we've got loads of good Italian ice cream cafes. Valentini's near me. I think it has to be one of them, and you always have to order an oyster. Well, that's my go-to anyway.
But we need to have an ice cream off, an ice cream
Okay,
battle.
that is a easy done. Sign me
um,
up.
no. Haggis, sneeps and tatties or mince and tatties?
Ooh, mince and tatties, I think. I
Yeah.
feel like mince and tatties, that was always our Monday night dinner growing up, and it's
Mm.
still kind of carried on as a tradition. It's one of the only things that my wee girl will eat. And my mum still makes it for her most Mondays. So that's kind of our Monday night dinner. Yeah, mince and tatties. And a wee side of pastry.
Yeah,
I like it. I
I like a bit
like
of pastry, but mince
yeah.
and tatties, we've not given her Lillian
Oh
mince
well,
and
try
tatties yet,
that.
actually. But that's another thing that I think, as we were saying earlier with the soup, everyone's mince and tatties is different.
Yeah.
Every mum's mince and tatties is different.
Every mum, yeah, they are, aren't they?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
some, has it got carrots in it? Has it got peas in it? You know,
Always
it's all.
carrots. No, peas maybe on the side, I would say.
See, I
That's
don't.
another thing. My husband didn't know what that was. He thought it was a really odd thing to have for dinner.
What, mince and
Vincent.
tatties?
Yeah, apparently that's a Scottish thing. I
Oh
don't
yeah, I
realize
would say
that.
that's that
I
does
didn't know
come.
that.
Yeah, I would totally say yeah, that's a complete.
And do you ever get a minced round from the butchers? That's one of our go-tos.
No, what's a mince round?
It's mince in a pie, basically.
All right,
So
okay,
it's
right, yeah,
pastry,
right.
but they call it a minced round. And the butcher's round the corner from me does two minced rounds for a fiver on a Monday. So we tend to get a minced round on a minced round Mondays.
Nice,
They're
nice.
delicious. And you know that way, I was like, well, I'm just going to have half. And by the time the night's over, you've eaten the whole thing. They're very Moorish.
You look at a lot of for like haggis, sneaks and tatties, and mince and tatties is probably a great
Mhm.
example because you look at sort of the culture of Scotland, and it's not warm,
No,
and so we wanted
it's
heavy food.
comfort.
It's stodgy, heavy
Yeah,
food
yeah.
to give you heat in the winter, and mince and tatties and
Oh, there's
haggis, sneaks and
nothing
tatties
like
are
it.
great examples of that. Really, that
Yeah, they really are. I do like haggis, snakes, and tatties, but it's not the kind of thing I would eat frequently.
no, it is more of a occasion thing, I suppose.
Yeah. And how do you feel about the kind of fancy haggis bonbons and the likes? Do you feel like you just need to keep it simple, or are you into the whenever they try and make
I
haggis
mean, if it's
fancy?
there, I'll eat it. but it's
Yes.
not something I would make at home. You know what I mean? If I'm at home, I'm going to make haggis, heaps and tatties,
Yeah,
proper.
see, I don't even really make it at home. I would only really have it if I was, it's quite a weddingy thing, isn't it? You get it as a,
Yeah, yeah. I used to host a Scottish show here in town, called The Spirit of Scotland. So I would sing and we'd have Highland dancers and everything like that. And it was all tourists from all over the place, but they would get a full meal. And we always used to have to make haggis the starter
yeah.
because you never knew if they would like it or not. So we'd
No,
always get
that's
a
it.
little sort
I'm
of.
more of a haggis as a starter kind of gal. I feel like you can have a bit too much haggis. I just want a little nibble of it, then I'm
And my
done.
wife's vegetarian, so
Oh,
when I do, we have a proper haggis and a vegetarian haggis. And I have to say the vegetarian haggis tastes
it's
lovely.
lovely. Veggie
Tastes lovely.
haggis is nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, this is where I'll save that one. I'll do.
All right. Okay.
Although I think I know the answer to this one already. Black pudding or square sausage?
Clear sausage,
Yeah,
hands
okay. I thought
down,
that was coming.
hands down. But again, I'm quite picky about my square sausage. You can get some pretty rubbish ones. I think
Yeah,
it's the sort of one you have to spend a wee bit more money on.
they can be a bit rubbery sometimes,
Yeah.
just a little
Yeah.
bit.
I feel like a butcher's, you have to get it from a butcher, really,
Yeah, I
if you
think
want
you
a
kind
good
of
one.
do. I think you kind of do.
Mhm. And you
But
have to kind of almost burn it. Yeah, I quite like it when it's really, really crispy.
the thing is about a square sausage, I mean, obviously, I love a link sausage as well, but a square sausage, it just goes perfectly on a roll.
Doesn't it?
It fills the roll
I
beautifully.
know. It's like it's been made for a roll, but I can't really have it without having a tacky scone on there too.
Yeah.
I feel like you need that. It just is a little extra to soak it all up.
Yeah, yeah. We need to go on a food journey. But I've said this story many times, but it makes me and my wife laugh all the time. We were up at Fort William a few years ago, and they were at the breakfast in the hotel, and they were coming through and saying, "All right, so it's we've got a full breakfast, and this you can have this and that and that. And today's special is tatty scones." And I was like,
Special.
"That's the special."
Wow.
I loved it though. I was like,
That's brilliant.
"I'll
I mean,
have
you're
I'll
not going
have
to
the
turn them down,
special
are
thing.
you?
I'll have the special on the side. Thanks very much."
That's brilliant. Sprinkle them with some parsley or something
I
to make
know,
them look
I know,
fancy.
I know.
Oh,
I
that's
don't. I can't. I
brilliant.
don't even know if they just bothered to fry them or they just put them in the toaster. I don't know.
Oh
uh,
no, they need to be fried in butter.
oh
That's the
yeah.
only way.
Last but not least, Tunnock's tea cake or caramel wafers.
Oh, that's really hard.
Yeah. This is the question
Like,
that people hate me for.
yeah, because I really like both. Um, oh, well, I would actually, if I was going to choose any Tunnocks item, it'd be a snowball.
Snowballs are great. I
Mm-hmm.
like it so, but they're
I
messy.
love coconut. Probably a caramel wafer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you
I
get
think you
more
get
in
more.
them.
Yeah, I was going to say you get more out of
We're
it.
kindred spirits, I feel.
Because
How
like
can I maximize my snack?
I know a Tunnock's tea cake, it's just gone. It's just
Yeah,
gone. Whereas again, it's a bit more solid. You
yeah,
can get more. It lasts longer.
yeah. Have you ever had the dark chocolate ones? They're quite nice.
I'm not a big fan of dark chocolate.
No, me neither, but actually they are nice.
Yeah,
Give them a try.
I will. I would say only because
Mhm.
I'm trusting you with food now. 'Cause I'm like, yep, yep, I trust her. The only thing that you would ever have to probably convince me of is I don't like fish.
Oh my gosh.
I've
Right,
said that to the
okay.
end because I thought you might hate me.
Wow.
But
Okay.
there's a reason for that though, is because when I was a kid, like really young, I got a fish bone stuck in my throat, and since
Um,
then,
yeah, that maybe
it's a
would put
mental
you
thing.
off.
It's
Yeah.
my head's like,
No, I'll give it a go. I'll take you for a chippy at the Anstruther fish bar. You
right,
won't
you're
look
on,
back.
you're on.
Promise. But you're not allowed to order sauce.
All right. Emma, this has been absolutely. I've had an absolute blast with you. Thank
Oh,
you so
good.
much
I'm
for
glad.
sparing
I
the
know I
time.
could chat all day. Thank you. I'm starving now. Like,
I
right,
know,
what can I go and eat?
I know. It's lunchtime now. We're fine. Again, no, but thank you so much. Look
Thank
after
you.
yourself.
Oh, you too. Take care. Thanks so much.
That was brilliant. What a great way to kick off Series 4 of Scottish Memories. Emma, thank you so much. I had so much fun. I genuinely want to do a food tour with Emma now. I think we'd just have a great time. But I hope you've enjoyed that, guys. If you have, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on wherever you get your podcasts, please remember, leave a like, leave a comment, review if you can as well. But till next time, bye humans.